find yourself setting really big goals, right? Really, really exciting goals. You buy everything you need, you're super motivated, and you're like, this is gonna be great. And 2 weeks into it, you lose all your motivation, you can't be arsed anymore. Happened to anyone? Hands up. Before we go into goal setting, I want to talk to you about values. It's something that is such a buzzword, and like the wellness space is like really, really pushing it out there on people that they need to get clear on their values. And you know, what are your values? Because it's very important to make value-based decisions. But then I introduced this concept of like rules, which I love. This book I read a couple of years ago, Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani, he talks about rules, which is basically like bullshit rules. So it's like all these things that society tells you that you want, but we actually don't even really know if that is something we want. And the reason why I actually love to tie this in with values is because a lot of the time we will say our values are something, but they're not actually what our values are. They're what we think our values should be. Right, find the partner, get married, have the kids, get the house. And all the while when you're doing this, I'll be happy when I get the new car. I'll be happy when I get the new job, when I get the promotion. Constantly placing your happiness in the future, right? And a lot of this comes down to rules, because we're constantly told that this is something that we should value and this is something we should chase. I want you to get your pen and paper out, and no one is going to be called upon to read this out, okay? I want you to think of the most important thing to you in your life, right? And if you had to pick a top 5 list, what would be at the top? Now we're going to get into actually talking about goals, right? We need to set goals, because goals give us a trajectory, okay? If you have no fucking idea where you want to go, right, how are you going to get there? But anyone that's worked with me or is a yoga student of mine, I'm always saying, I'm Google Maps, you drive the car. I decided it wouldn't be right to do a talk without mentioning Google Maps. I think I should be sponsored by them at this stage. I love this example here where it says, if you were going to get into the car, I'd say you're coming from Mayo today. Shout out to the Mayo girls, right? And you wanted to get to the airport, but you needed to get to Dublin Airport Terminal 1. Are you just going to go airport? Hope for the best. Might end up in Knock, might end up in Cork, who knows, YOLO. You have to be specific. I want to go to Dublin Airport Terminal 1. A lot of us are afraid to actually be like, well, what do I actually want? Because then it gets real. Because then what sets in when you start thinking about what you want? Oh my God, fear failure. What if I can't get this? What if I write this down, but I don't achieve it? You find a way through when life keeps going, here's shit, here's more shit, here's more shit, here's more shit, because life, unfortunately, loves to throw spanners in the works. But if you have a strong why, that is the first step towards achieving your goal. It's also the first step with dealing with low motivation. So motivation is an internal state that propels individuals to engage in goal-directed behavior, right? That's what it is. But what it's not is a constant state. It is a journey. If I got €1 for every time I get a message on Instagram every week saying, I'm just not motivated, how do I get motivation? I was motivated, I've lost motivation, how do I get it back? And I wish, like, I really, really wish I had this pill. Like, if the pharmaceutical industry could jump on board to this, I'd actually get on board with it, just be like, there's some motivation. Take it, and you're like, yes, I could tackle the world. Because motivation is a paradox, and I absolutely love this, right? Because everyone thinks that you have to wait for motivation to start something, and that's going to breed action. But actually, action is what needs to come first. Because action breeds motivation. Motivation then breeds more action. Action breeds more motivation. And it's cyclical, and it goes round and around and around. But you have to start somewhere. And the other thing, and I often find this when I onboard clients, is like, you need to meet yourself where you're at in life at this moment in time. Because people will come to me and they'll be like, okay, I want to get into health and fitness. What have you done over the last few years? I actually haven't done anything. I've been working a sedentary job the last 5 years. My step count is probably about 4,000 or 5,000 a day, and I haven't done any training. But yeah, I think I'm going to train 6 times in the gym a week. I'm going to have a step count of about 10 to 15,000, and I'm going to do, and I'm like, whoa, right? You're going from 0 to 100, right? No wonder you're going to burn yourself out and lose motivation in 2 weeks. Lower the bar. And I don't mean this to be like, make it piss easy for yourself, right? But lower the bar to entry. Because if you lower the bar and someone tells me they haven't done anything for like X amount of weeks or whatever, can we do 3 workouts for 30 minutes? If you've been doing 5,000 steps a day, can we do 6,000? Right? Again, coming back to that goal setting and then process goals that are within reach, because what I'm going to keep talking about today is when you achieve all these things, then the only way is up, and you increase your belief that you actually can achieve it. So now we're going to come on to this. So excited to talk about this, right? Probably one of the most interesting things with regards to motivation, and it's self-efficacy, okay? Self-efficacy is based on an individual's belief in their own capacity to achieve, while motivation is based on the individual's desire to achieve. So one of these is our belief that we can do it, and the other one is our desire to do it. And people tend to get these two mixed up, okay? Now, a lot of things come into play when it comes to self-efficacy, okay? And you'll see them here. We're not going to go too far into this. People often think that if you have high self-efficacy, you're going to have high motivation. And it's true. It is true. People with a higher self-efficacy do tend to have more motivation because they actually believe they can achieve it, okay? And that's really important, the self-belief that you can achieve it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of self-efficacy, you can't be motivated, because how can you change this? You fucking push yourself out of your comfort zone every damn week. And I literally put the coffee down and I go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Out of your head, into your body, out the door, and I have the keys in my hand and I'm locking the door and I'm moving before I give myself time to be like, I don't want to do it. And then I'll be like, maybe I'll go later. And actually, no, I might just have some toast and then I'll just scroll on social media. You've talked yourself out of it. So in the moment when you have to do it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next thing, I love this, cognitive reframing and the power of choice, okay? So cognitive reframing is a technique used to shift your mindset so you're able to look at a situation, person, or relationship from a slightly different perspective. This is where actually therapists and stuff come in really, really handy. It's where a coach comes in handy. You are so tunnel vision on your thoughts and your emotions about something, you can't see the trees through the forest. A coach goes, well, what about looking at it from this point of view? Or a friend says, what about looking at it from this point of view? And all of a sudden you're like, God, I didn't even think of that, right? So it's shifting your perspective. And what I like to do here when it's something you don't really want to do, but you have to do, you change the narrative and you change it from I have to I get to. And ideally, the last thing here I will say is focusing on how you're feeling as opposed to looking, how a scenario is looking, how your life is looking. How do you want to feel? If you do want to focus on the husband, the wife, the new job, whatever, that's amazing. Focus on it. But focus on how you want to feel in that moment. Because then when you get to it and you feel it, you're like, wow. Because a lot of the time you'll get to it and look around and you'll be like, eh. But feelings are such a good guidepost for us. You're always one decision away from a totally different life.